the edible hard sponge of Puglia. Welcome back to Armchair Italy, a podcast where we pull up a chair, break bread, and explore the deep history, culture, and traditions behind Italy's most iconic regional foods to prepare for an authentic visit to Italy. I'm your host, Anthony Capizzoli, and today we are traveling down to the sun-bleached, olive grove-dotted heel of Italy, Puglia. If I handed you a freshly stored Friselle right out of the pantry, you might think I was crazy handing you a piece of rock-solid bread that looks like a bagel that's impossible to bite into. But soak it in cold water, rub a ripe tomato over it, add some olive oil and a little salt, and the magic happens. That rock-solid bread turns into one of the most delicious rustic summer snacks in the whole of Italy. So, pour a cappuccino if it's before 11 a.m., sit back, and let's dive in. Frisella comes from the family of bread called pane biscotto, which means twice-baked bread. Southern Italian villages faced a universal problem. How do we make bread last for months in our pantry, at sea, or in the fields without molding? In Puglia, bakers solved this by creating a simple dough, shaped it into rings, and baked it twice. The first bake cooks the crumb, then the bread is sliced horizontally and baked a second time low and slow. It looks like a bagel. The second bake is called a sponstatura, which removes all the remaining moisture, rendering the bread virtually immortal. Stored in a cool, dry place, a batch of Friselle can stay fresh for months. It was one of my favorite snacks growing up and still is a go-to for me. Farmers in southern Italy carried strings of them hung from donkey carts or their saddlebags. Fishermen would dip the Frisella over the side of the boat, directly into the seawater, top it with a little olive oil and a little of the fresh catch of the day, and enjoy a wonderful snack. Let's see. Frisella might be the superstar twice-baked bread of the South, but it's far from the only twice-baked bread in the Mediterranean. Every southern Italian maritime culture has its own version of pan biscotto, from Calabria to Napoli. How do you properly eat a Frisella? It all comes down to the soak and the toppings, called a sponstatura. Sponsare in Italian means to soak or to steep. The golden rule is 5 to 10 second soak. That's it. You quickly submerge the Frisella in cold water to soften the top later, while leaving the bottom sturdy, crisp, and crunchy. Oversoak it, and you get mush. But the toppings do what the water didn't in most cases, so just give it a minute to soak, even after a quick splash into the sink. You can top Frisella with virtually anything, but here's my favorite way to dress one. It's simple and rustic. First, soak the Frisella by running it under tap water just for a second or two. As it's resting on the counter, on the plate, I crush up some anchovies from a jar into a paste with a little extra olive oil from the jar of anchovies. I slice up 5 or 6 cherry tomatoes in half. I spoon the anchovies over and around the Friselle. Then I squeeze the tomatoes over the top of that, add a little dried oregano and a touch of salt. And I often pre-break them into little bite-sized chunks to make it easier to eat, but not always. And this humble snack will change your life. This little piece of culinary engineering born out of necessity from sailors and farmers and the poor people of southern Italy has turned into one of the world's absolute highlights of summer living. Give this wonderful, wonderful bread a try. You will be happy that you did. Here are 4 great food and wine tours on armchairitaly.com to enjoy some Friselle while on tour in Bel Paese. 1, Miss Katie Parla. 2, Eating Europe. 3, Context Travel. 4, Pugliali. It's a region-specific tours of Puglia by amazing locals. You can try Friselle, focaccia, altamura, and more. Thank you so much for listening to Armchair Italy. Until next time, bake with passion. Don't forget to soak your Friselle. Eat well, eat simply, keep exploring. Ciao.